what I did for my kind of icebreaker thing, I used the same one I had done last year where I introduced myself through it by saying I like Dungeons and Dragons. And so how we're going to introduce ourselves is to create ourselves as a D&D character and introduce that character. And so we didn't take up class time trying to figure that all out. I put it as a discussion forum, then we'll share next class so that people have time to, in their own time, figure out what they feel like they are. But I think that's how I'm having everyone introduce themselves, saying, oh, I looked at the D&D races and I feel like I'm this, and D&D classes and I feel like I'm this, and have random character generation question that they'll answer.
I like that. I feel like that gets like people bonding over something. Sorry, my cat is like screaming. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like team building is very much about like comfortability and like getting people like bonding and like talking about something similar. So I like that idea of like everybody like, you know, I don't know, bonding over one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Claire and I did a similar thing with the forum, but we asked them like what their favorite K-pop group is, because that automatically has like associations with like specific groups. And so we did that, but we also threw in like a really random question. We asked them between two different companies of CEOs for K-pop groups, who do you think would win in a fight? Which is a completely random question, but it's just like trying to get people to get engaged and think about funny things and get involved in the conversation of something like that.
Well, one of my favorite, I've always felt like sometimes icebreakers can come across as a little cheesy, just in general. And again, some of them are great, some of them, but my issue with them in general is I don't necessarily think they translate to online to this as well as they do. I honestly think that just kind of sitting in front of this plastic device and with these webcams, it just kind of precludes a lot of like normal relationship building and normal rapport. I think not so much, and I think it's something within ourselves that precludes it. Like it's kind of this like, admittedly, it's kind of another one of these kind of meetings again, and that's exactly why I don't think the breakout rooms have really been effective. It's kind of just like, which is interesting, because I wrote in my post too that I've noticed that a lot of students create Discord servers for their classes, to kind of, and I'm not admittedly really computer game savvy or anything like that, but I noticed that on these Discord servers there tends to be like considerably more ice breaking between the students outside of the class than there is necessarily when the teacher is kind of forcing. And it's not as if the students don't want to relate to each other. They do. They're human. This is like it's not a great period. But for me in general, the greatest icebreakers were always just laboratories. You sit in a group, the teacher assigns you to a group of different people, you physically do something with each other, you communicate with each other, you have a task, and then whatever you learn about each other kind of comes across as more of a natural as opposed to kind of forced out, and it just, I've noticed like the rapport I have with the people I've been in laboratories, like I still talk to some of the students I was in my laboratories with as opposed to, just regular classmates kind of thing. But my issue is I don't necessarily know how that translates to this kind of learning, and I could definitely use some help in that respect.
Yeah. So how are your professors resimulating labs online?
Oh, so honestly, I figured, for a music class, like as opposed to just having people try to play together, which is probably impossible over Zoom or something. Yeah, I mean, I've tried with music groups I've been in to do all, it's just the timing is terrible. Like one thing we could do for ice breaking would be to review some like a homework submission from the week before, obviously nicely, because I feel like that way you get to kind of know the student, how they play relative to the class. And but that was kind of my idea, as opposed to, just a simple like, because on my page I did put, what's your name, what's your major, what instruments do you play, what music has been getting you through this kind of thing like that, but without them needing to reply to each other or that.
You said a lot of things there. I'm going to play a little devil's advocate and throw it out to the group. And I see Charles joined us. Thank you for coming, Charles. It is not the same thing to go into breakout room or to do community building online. But would it be better to not do anything and have the students kind of off in their own worlds and be isolated? Better to force it a little bit and have a little bit of an awkward interaction that eventually gets people comfortable with each other. That's my question to you all. What do you think?
No, it's reasonable. I mean, yeah.